Well, thanks for coming, man.
Dude, honestly, I feel so important right now.
Good.
I'm literally pumped, and I'm like nervous and excited at the same time, and I'm really just super psyched about being able to move this thing like you've seen all the podcasts, like being able to adjust this.
Yeah.
This is so tight.
We're
dude.
semi-legit here.
No, I'd say full legit.
Yeah.
I feel super excited, and I feel so important being here. Like, thank you for having me, but I mean it. Like, it's cliche to say that.
Yeah.
But like, I really feel very important being here, so thank you.
Well, one, you are very important. Two, you're so that'll be my one swear word of the day.
Yeah,
ass.
there you go.
And thanks for coming, man.
Yeah,
you know,
I appreciate
and
it.
it's about a good conversation that I think that people will take value from. And you have a lot of value in the new construction sector.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the thing that I want people to take away from, or what the podcast is going to be titled about is, you know, what to keep in mind when approaching new construction, whether it's custom, semi-custom, spec homes, what to keep in mind when you're interviewing, because not many people actually interview builders. Obviously, spec homes developments are a little bit different of a process than maybe custom, semi-custom, but I think that the hat you wear relates to something that anyone can take away from approaching a conversation of new construction. Yeah. Because again, this is a question I'm gonna bring up is not every builder is created equal. No. For better or worse, it's no different than real estate agents. No, it's no different than mechanics.
100%.
All builders are not created equal. A lot of people think new construction. It's like the same playing field.
There's no one size fits all. No. There's so many different angles. There's different ways that builders go about things. I mean, financially, structurally, I mean, you could just keep going on and on about it. But yeah, there's definitely different builders and different ways to go about it.
Yeah. Great place to start is, who are you? Yeah. And who do you work for? Where are you from? Just kind of like a little introduction.
The whole bio, yeah. So yeah, I'm Ray. I work with Allen Edwin Homes. They're a semi-custom builder, which we can get into. They are as of right now, the largest builder in Michigan unit-wise. So we do, and it's on average, right, but around 700 units per year. And so we're everywhere. Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo. We just started branching into Indiana, which is cool, but we're everywhere. I mean, Genesee County, Livingston County, Washtenaw, Jackson County on this side of the state. So anywhere you can see Michigan, like in the lower half of Michigan, we are building homes.
Michigan's largest builder.
As of right now, yeah.
By units.
Yep.
What is that unit?
It's around 700.
700 a year. Is what you did in maybe 2022?
The exact
or is this
number.
A projection?
No, just average, because last year was definitely a down year. I mean, I think most people can say some of it was a down year.
What did you do in 2020?
Traffic. 2020 as the builder or personally?
Builder.
Builder, it was that one was definitely going to be around 700.
Okay,
I'd have to pull up the exact numbers. I don't have them memorized.
Not quoting you to it yet.
Yeah, but that one was definitely closer. We were below 700 last year for sure.
Okay. What was the impact on that? I mean, interest rates, demand?
Yeah, I mean, I think interest rates were something that impacted real estate in general.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone was so used to a low interest rate, and then what was it? May-ish, June-ish, somewhere around there, the rates just started going up and they didn't stop. They just kept going. That's what it felt like.
Do you feel like your Q1 is showing good projections of the year to come for units for Edwin Allen?
Yes, 100%. This year?
To be on track, be on track for the 700?
Oh my gosh, yes.
The conversation that I'm having nowadays with like lenders or anybody is I think humans have just good short-term memory. Or maybe bad short-term memory.
Right, I see what you're saying.
But the past 90 days is what they think about. So like when 7 became, oh my gosh, the world is ending. Now all of a sudden 6.5%, 7% or high 6s, 6.5%, it's more normal. People are like, we can come outside now.
Yeah, it was like an adjustment period. You had to like almost get used to this new normal that everyone talks about. These rates that are not 3%.
Yeah, and I think there's some light on the end of the horizon for what rates are with there's a bunch of different factors, but I think that the way that rates are kind of still projecting, I know we're going up, we're going down, but we're kind of averaging a 6.5 for the most part. Yeah. But from what we're hearing from the professionals, the quote unquote professionals that we trust and we listen to, there's light on the horizon. Yeah. I think May is going to be a huge month for what the end of 2023 looks like for rates. Yep. Nothing but a good thing. But I think that now that we've kind of stabilized and created a new normal for interest rates, we're kind of getting back to being busy. Yeah. Or buyers willing to make offers on homes without the concern that rates are going to go to 7.5 tomorrow.
Right.
So, you touched on it a second ago. I kind of classify new construction into 3 categories. Arrogantly or ignorantly, spec homes, or mass production builders, semi-customs, and customs.
Yeah.
Would you put them into 2 different categories? Semi-custom, custom. How would you break up new construction?
No, you're spot on. I would go production, strictly production, semi-custom, and then custom.
Okay.
I mean, there's probably no perfect answer there, but that's what I would categorize the 3 as, because there's the different buckets and they all kind of wear the different hats.
Gotcha. And Edwin Allen, and again, I would probably categorize maybe not the wrong builders, but a lot of builders into production. But Edwin Allen, what makes Edwin Allen semi-custom? It's options.
Yeah, it is options, because as a builder, semi-custom, we have around 40 floor plans, which will go up and down depending on the floor plans that we take out or put in, but around 40 floor plans, right? Okay. And the semi-custom comes in with the options, because the floor plans are the floor plans. And we can get into subcategories of the floor plans that we offer, but ultimately those floor plans we have, you're not just going in there and say, hey, Ray, move this wall, put this bathroom over here, change this roof type, whatever the scenario is structurally. Normally we have what we have. And then the semi-custom, again, is the options, where we have a design studio, 4,600 square feet, large professional facility that you can go with a design studio specialist, go through the entire facility and pick everything out and customize your home. That's that semi-custom.
Yeah. And you're building homes specifically to what buyers are looking for and how builders or buyers are choosing things.
Yeah.
So from a what was the first one? First category? Production.
Yeah.
So from a production standpoint, and just for the education, from a production standpoint, there's probably 2 or 3 options that a production team has, and they kind of interchange them all.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of choice in the matter.
Yeah, that would be the thing that you're giving up with a production builder. You lose that power of choice, because their game is like a conveyor belt, right? They're just going out, they're doing their 1 or 2 or 3 things, and they're doing it a bunch of times over and over and over again.
Yeah. Why is that? Is it cost, or is it just production? I mean, is the name of the game for them just kicking out units and they're not worried about, buyers being happy with aesthetics? Or is that something that the buyers have to deal with on the tail end from a price point standpoint?
Yeah, I guess I don't want to speak too much from a strictly production point of view, only because I deal with Allen Edwin being semi-custom, and so I know this world really well. Outside of it, it gets a little loose. I don't want to, overspeak on that, but maybe a little bit of both, honestly.
So, and who would you say is the primary demographic for Edwin Allen Construction, or at least who you're dealing with? Is it first-time home buyers? Is it upsizers? Is there a mix of both of those two?
Yeah, it's for sure a mix, but I would say we deal a lot with first-time home buyers.
Okay, so first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
When they're thinking, because we just did a deal, and my people evolved to new construction based on a great opportunity.
Right.
But it was not even on their radar.
Yeah.
And then we got to that point. So from a first-time home buyer standpoint, what do you think are some things that someone can take away when let's look into it?
Yeah.
When having a conversation with a builder, a representative, what are some things that you should keep in mind?
Well, I think the biggest thing, and this is something that I struggle with, because getting the word out that we're going to unopen a can of worms, whatever the saying is here.
Yeah.
Because I can go on about this stuff. So with new construction,
normally we have to cut the cameras. I'm like, dude, I gotta go.
Yeah. So there is so much that I can talk about new construction wise. I think the biggest thing, like step 1, is just understanding that you can do it. People don't think they can do it. They don't think they can afford it. They don't think it's an option. Yeah.
Yeah. No. New construction? I can't do that.
That's my barrier, is thinking that, or other people think that they can't even do this. And so I have to be able to get that message out there, which this is, a great way to do that. But people, number 1, need to realize they can do it, because they can.
So I think how I interpret that is people put something to their mind without actually getting the information.
Yeah.
So, and I'm using just our experience. They said, let's just look at it.
Yeah.
That's a great first step. Let's just look at it.
Yep.
Maybe let's see if it's even a fit for us. I have no idea. Now let's get the numbers. Now let's figure out what it's actually going to cost us, because people, again, put these things into their mind based on everything that they've been seeing, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Just walk through that process. I think the easiest way to kind of diminish those fears or get your questions answered is asking the right questions.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened with our people is, no, can't do it. Well, let's check it out. Whoa, I can do it.
Yeah.
I can do it, and it's a brand new house?
Right.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Do you know what they closed on, too, with their interest rate?
Oh man, it was in the fives, wasn't it?
5.25.
Yeah.
5.25.
That was a good one.
I'm closing on a house right now, 6.825. I said, you are not selling this house.
Yeah.
Nor would you want to right now.
Yeah. No, you see the number 5, you're like, okay, I like that.
Yeah.
That looks good.
Yeah. I mean, I hope we're in the fives here, maybe 2024, but who the hell knows?
Yeah.
But that wasn't possible with anything else besides really Edwin Allen.
Yep.
And a participating lender in that matter.
Yeah.
So you can do it.
You can do it.
Ask the right questions.
I think one good part to talk about, realizing that you can do it, taking it, this is just going to be layer by layer here, but the financial barrier part. Because I think when you go into these different buckets of builders, every single builder has a different financial barrier. Custom builders notoriously will have a higher financial barrier, construction draw, construction loan, whatever that scenario is. Mm-hmm. With us, our financial barrier is very low. That's why we work with a lot of first-time home buyers, because you can do the RD, the FHA, the VA, I mean, obviously conventional. Any loan type that you have or that you're approved for, we'll take.
Yeah.
So you're not having to have this huge down payment or huge financial barrier that would restrict you from getting a new home. Mm-hmm. We remove that.
Yeah.
Which means you can do it.
Yeah. And let's break that down a little bit too, because I think finances are the hardest part for a lot of people.
Yeah.
In any process. So there's 2 ways that you can do a construction loan or buy new construction.
Sure.
And layman's term.
Yeah. Let's keep it.
Builder carries debt.
Yep.
Or buyers carry debt.
It's a great way to put it.
So the custom route more normally for a new construction, if you're not working with a builder that can carry that debt, buy all those supplies, deal with all of the associated costs, and at the end of it, then we close on that dollar amount.
Correct.
A builder like Edwin Allen and other large builders can carry that debt. Literally. So we work through that process, and you don't have a mortgage payment or any payment for that matter. You did a short on this the other day. Mm-hmm. Wait, I don't have a mortgage payment until I buy the house? Yeah. Break that down a little bit and elaborate where I kind of miss some voids on one. Again, financially it's obtainable, but also financially it's not like just getting a construction loan and carrying that debt and writing a check for $500,000 throughout the process in certain draws. We don't have a mortgage payment until we sign that dotted line and we own that house. Yeah.
I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible because, again, you can just unpack so much with this conversation. But simply put, Allen Edwin has 2 different processes. Buying a showcase, spec, a quick occupancy home, right? That's one process that we have. And then you have building from the ground up, which we call pre-sold. So you pick everything out, you're making your selections, that power of choice comes into play. Those are 2 different processes. But to make it super simple, either way, no matter what, it's an end loan product. We carry the debt, we pay for everything until you close, and then your payments start. Mm-hmm. So there's no monthly payment, there's no interest-only payments. You get the loan when you close. Yeah. Very simple.
End only.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to put it. End only versus a draw.
Yep, draw.
More or less.
Yep.
And that's massive. That's
huge.
Powerful.
It's
but
huge.
Again, it goes back to a lot of people, which don't get me wrong. Again, when you're dealing with a custom option and custom home builders, you're mostly going to have to deal with that draw. It's going to be a different price point.
Yep.
But for first-time home buyers, it is daunting. It is a little intimidating. But, these homes that Edwin Allen is also producing is, I believe, a great, phenomenal product for a first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
The home that my buyers just bought.
Yeah.
It's not their forever house.
Yep.
That community is notorious for people staying there forever though.
Yeah.
And they'll sell in the front and buy in the back for a bigger home.
Oh yeah.
So, but it's a great home to get into the door.
Good stepping stone.
Maybe have a kid or 2 in there.
Yeah.
And then once you evolve to the space, and I don't know if you and your 3 kids can move into that house.
Yeah.
But if you and your wife started there with 1 kid, you could definitely do that.
You can make
and then
it happen.
Evolve to the next step. And I think that's constantly a conversation that I'm trying to have with buyers in all different price points and all different points in their life is, 1, the average mortgage is like 6-7 years. 2, I understand that we want to maybe buy a house for the 20-year plan.
Yeah.
It's hard to plan for 20 years for anything.
Literally.
How old's your first kid?
6, almost 7.
So, maybe 7 years ago, you were like, this is the plan. This is what we're doing. I'm sure it's changed a few times.
100%. And I think that's the fun part with buyers. And it's nothing to knock on buyers. They're all like, this is the home I'm going to live in forever. And 9 times out of 10, it's not.
No.
I mean, it's very rare you see people in their home for a long time. Mm-hmm. Over 10 years would be rare.
Buy for needs right now. I think is a big important factor to that. Not, just new construction, but in general.
Yeah.
Buy for needs right now. And that's exactly what Edwin Allen, or, you specifically, but maybe builders in general are trying to provide a few of those stepping stones for a new construction project. And that neighborhood specifically, again, did you guys develop that whole sub?
No, it was started by 2 other builders. We're the 3rd, I think, in there, but we've done the majority of the homes in there.
Either way, again, like the front was started for first-time home buyers.
Yep.
And the back is that step up. And I think that's, again, a great plan for the future from a builder standpoint until those buyers actually realize, or those sellers actually realize, like, oh, shoot. Again, this was great for my 5 to 7 years. And we're moving into a 2-bed, 2-bath condo, very similar to what you're doing. You have a little bit more space. But for us, it's the 8-year plan.
Yeah.
And once we have 2 kids, or when that is, when they turn 6, what you're doing right now, you're moving to a new spot that fits your needs for the time being.
Correct.
Is it going to be your 20-year plan?
Heck no.
No.
There's no way.
No. It's a stepping stone to where we need to be. But again, like, I think that a lot of people are really worried about the 25-year plan and not making decisions for the next 3-year plan.
Yeah. It's impossible to plan for 25 years. I mean, if we could all do that, life would be pretty easy, right? You would just say, oh, I'll do this for the next 25 years. Life is unexpected.
Yeah.
There's just no way. It's impossible.
To make the decisions as the issues come.
Yeah. Yeah. React, all that fun stuff.
Be a problem solver, and you're going to be a problem solver for the rest of your life. I actually, we went to the Red Wings game last night.
Oh, okay.
And we were driving. I had to drive to, they were college students, but someone's kids back to Concordia or Ypsilanti. And I said, you know what, man, like, we talked a lot, but I think that too many people look at decisions as right and wrong.
Yeah.
No, it's decision to decision to decision to decision.
Layers.
Maybe one's less than ideal than more ideal, but it's decision to decision to decision. And I gave another example of, you're going to have these problems, and it's not about the problem. It's not about what you're dealing with, but it's about problem solving, conflict resolution, and getting on the other side of those things. That's the dang point.
Yeah.
Name of the game. You've been doing that stuff for the past 6 years.
It's a good attribute to have. If you can be actively able to problem solve in the moment and stuff like that, I think that's a good attribute to have.
And I'm sure you would say for you as well, like, actually, I'll speak for you. I think that if there's anything in real estate, whether it's new construction or pre-existing construction, there's probably other handful, but I think of 2 things: good communication, and phenomenal problem solving.
Yeah.
If you can do those 2 things, you will be phenomenal. And maybe time management. So time management, communication, and then problem solving ability.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
And then the amount of times that we see agents or lenders or anything, plumbers, electricians, people in general that have poor communication, bad time management skills, and what was the other one? Problem solving skills.
Problem solving.
They're probably not. They're at a standard. You have those 3 things. You perfect those 3 things. Don't worry about the rest. You'll figure those things out.
I think with problem solving, this one kind of goes hand in hand, but the resiliency that comes along with being able to just continuously problem solve.
Exactly.
That too, just because, I mean, it is problem after problem. And if you can be resilient and be good at problem solving, then it's just like you moving forward. But if you get held up on all those points that you have to do problem solving and you're not resilient, man, it's tough.
Exactly. And it's not about the problem, it's about what you're learning through that problem, or the resiliency, the determination, the focus. And with that being said, like, there's some great positives to working with Edwin Allen. One, how long you been a builder? Allen Edwin.
Allen Edwin.
How
A
long
before E.
Yeah. How long have they been a builder?
Oh, since 1994.
Okay, so we talk about this constantly. Experience matters.
Yeah.
700 times X. I mean, that's not the actual number, but experience matters.
It does.
So, and every property will have their own set of issues.
Yes.
But it's not the first time you've dealt with it. Mm-hmm. It's not the last time you'll deal with it.
Right.
So experience with builders matters to avoid, 1, be proactive, avoid problems.
Yep.
But then 2, when problems occur, we're going to find the smoothest route through those things.
Yeah.
Versus maybe somebody that doesn't have the experience or isn't experienced in that certain problem, it might be a little bit more of a roadblock.
Yeah.
I'll give you a vague, non-specific example because I don't want to be that specific.
Let's do it.
We were working with I would probably call them a semi-custom home builder.
Yep.
They're in Livingston County.
Yeah.
We had an issue with a front porch cap. And one, we asked them to do something, and the easiest thing that could have happened, and what I wish would have happened, was the builder say, nope, We're not doing anything.
Right.
When we're done, this is where we're at. We're doing all this finish, blue tape, green tape work on the inside, the cosmetics. Yeah. But that's not a part of our process. You can deal with it on the end. And what happened was they cut in cracks. Like what do you call those?
Control cracks.
Control cracks. Yeah. And I don't know. I know nothing about nothing for the most part. I know a little bit about a lot. That's about it. Yeah. But this front cap, and I don't normally see front caps with control cracks always. I'm sure there's an algorithm to it or a process, but there wasn't. We asked for it, and the cracks were crazy. And hindsight, I wish we'd never had a conversation about it.
Yeah.
But working through that problem was very challenging.
Right.
And I said, again, guys, we asked you to do control cracks with the expectation that it was going to look cosmetically great.
Yep.
And now it doesn't. So now we need a solution. And the solution was put epoxy on top of it. And I was like, no offense, man, we're spending $500,000 and this looks like shit.
Yeah.
So what's the next solution? Well, we can grind it out and do a top coat. I go, okay, I guess do it.
Yeah.
And the buyers, I'm not saying this, the buyers are saying, you know what, I guess we're going on this path, we have to do it. They did that. Look like crap. Spent $500,000.
Yeah.
And eventually we've got to the point where, fine, we're going to rip the whole thing out. We'll lay a new cap. Okay. Now we've all learned a lesson.
Yeah.
When there's no control cracks, don't put control cracks in there. Maybe start in the first place, but I think it still would have been avoidable. The point being is, when problems occur, having that experience gets you from point A to point Z through that problem as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And you have problems on every single deal.
Yeah, I think with new construction, it's tough because, again, when you've got a new construction home, somebody is spending $500,000, whatever they're spending, $200, $300, it's a lot of money to them. Yeah. And they're thinking new construction is going to be perfect. So you have very high expectations before the home's even started. So when you get a situation like that, they want it to be perfect. And so as a builder, it's very hard to meet or exceed those expectations. Yeah. So I think that builders have it tough in the sense of people want their home to be perfect. Homes generally are not perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect house.
And let's stop it right now.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I'm constantly trying to tell people. Guys, we will never walk into a perfect home. Yeah. Whether it's a 1920s or a 2023. We're going to be as close to, we're going to be pretty damn great. Yeah. But could we find 100% square walls? No. Are we going to have drywall cracks and tape seams?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Are those things solvable within the first year? And you want to, and we're going to bleed into this, the home needs to exist. Yeah. Go through 2 heating and cooling cycles, expand and contract, settle. And then that's why warranties are a thing though. Yep. But you are not going to buy a quote unquote perfect house. So it's about setting expectations. Yeah. The home needs to be great. Yeah. The home, and you execute. Builders normally execute. You executed. Yeah. But setting an expectation that is going to be a perfect home is unrealistic.
I would say
you agree with that?
Yes, yeah. I definitely agree with it. And I would say that setting expectations is like one of the number one things I focus on. It is probably one of the pillars of good communication, especially when you have new construction. There is so much room for error with new construction. You have too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak. You have a long process. You have so much room for error. So if you don't set the right expectations, there are so many spots where things can come up and you can have an unhappy buyer.
Yeah. You did a great job about that as well. And not necessarily you set expectations without setting expectations. You communicated well without the expectation of communicating well. Hey, I'm going to start a group chat. We're going to start an email chain. I'm going to kind of lay out the roadmap. Yep. That goes back to experience though. You know that setting out that roadmap, setting those expectations, those timelines is a great expectation to give to those buyers. Yeah. And that's not something that you've, learned overnight. No, you've evolved to that space, or the builder has evolved to that space, to their process of how telling reps or sales consultants of how to set those expectations. So, and we probably just touched on it, but let's drive that point home. How are you, or how should other people be setting expectations, whether they're real estate agents with buyers coming to you, or how the builder sets expectations to buyers and agents about, certain things when it comes to more or less, we can again talk about for hours about this, but cosmetics, imperfections, what can people take away from this?
In the sense of like quality, or I guess what?
Quality. Quality. I think, quality would be the main focus for me.
So when we set expectations on quality, it comes down to, and I'm using air quotes here because it's model home quality. So the model home you walk into, like we have one in Howells on Oak Grove Meadows. Mm-hmm. So when you walked in that model home, that quality you see there is the quality you should expect for your house.
Boom.
And so when you do what's called a new home walkthrough, a new home orientation is our verbiage, but a final walkthrough, right? When you go to close, that's the quality that you're checking on. If it's not there, then we are going to fix whatever. I mean, that's your punch list. You put whatever's on the list that's not to model home quality standards. So we have our checks and balances there to make sure you get what we promised you.
That's awesome. And I find that there's not you guys at all, and we'll use zero names, but we've walked through new construction pretty consistently. The model does not look like the finished product at times, in more or less the production side of things. Production builders, that is. And I love that's our guys, that's our standard. We're going to walk through here. We're going to pick out our finishings. This is going to be the expectation. We close there. We do a final walkthrough, and that's creating that expectation. You answered the question actually perfectly.
Well, that's where it stems from. So model home quality, our verbiage stems from everyone saying the model home always looks better than what my home's going to look like. That's where it comes from. So that's why that's perfect there. So,
and I think that the builder has executed on that.
Yeah.
But not everyone is executing on that. And we're speculating. Is it a quality control thing? Is it a communication thing? Why is there maybe now a distrust in 2023 with production builders for lack of quality, but price point is still crazy?
Yeah.
There's 475 houses and you walk in and it looks like the 295s.
Yeah.
Or it should be less than the 295s
right,
in terms of execution of quality. So, why is the builder executing on such high quality? Is it experience? Is it communication? Is it, quality of subcontractors, who we have working on those houses? What is it if you had to put your finger on it?
So it's good. It can't be one thing. It just can't be. There's too
impossible.
Many,
It'd be 1,000 things.
Right.
Yeah.
There's just too much to it. So I think experience, having been there, done that, to be able to set the right expectations, that's one part of it. Because if you set bad expectations saying, here's what your home's going to look like, and it looks like, below what you mentioned, then you already got a problem before it even started. So there's that part of it. There's the quality of the subcontractors, but below that you have the relationship with the subcontractors. So if the subcontractors don't respect you as a builder, they're not going to give you the best quality work that they can do. You want to have that relationship. It's not linear. There's so much to all this stuff. There's layers to all of it. So you want to make sure that you have good quality reps that are skilled in their trade, but also respect you so that they're doing good work for you and you trust them in your houses.
Yeah.
So there's different things. Those are two things that are definitely big.
Team effort.
Yeah.
Absolute team effort. And the times where I probably see the difference in quality is just top down. Again, setting expectations with buyers, but somebody setting expectations with subs.
Yeah.
And there's been a few times where we were working with somebody with semi-custom.
Yeah.
And that builder is crazy, not crazier, but having more serious, it's his name on it at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is.
Having more of a serious standard for quality control way before the buyer even says something.
Yeah.
Top-down mentality of what we produce from quality and making sure everything is the exact same. I'll give you an example. These doors and this trim wasn't matching up in one of the houses. A few entry doors, and then a threshold walkthrough, a 72-inch walk-through passageway. All the trims didn't add up evenly to 8 feet. And he said, well, we got to get rid of all this stuff. We got to change these 8-foot doors, change that to an 8-foot door, because I can't do this. And if I can't look at this, again, if I'm putting my name on these things, if these builders are putting these names on these things, I think that quality has got to be the pinnacle of that.
Yeah.
And that bleeds into hospitality, customer service, all of those things.
Being proactive on something like that really sets the tone. It builds an automatic layer, an instant layer of trust. If the buyer brings it up, it's like, oh, I had to tell them, and maybe they think that they wouldn't have found out. But if he brings it up automatically, hey, I know we have this and we're dealing with it this way, boom.
That's a great point.
Trust set, expectation set. It's okay, he's got me. He's got my back.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
And even just educating those buyers about how he's thinking.
Yeah.
Versus just fix it. We're not going to tell them, hey, this is what we saw. This is what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it. It's wow, okay, he is going above and beyond.
Yeah.
So when it comes to quality, are there a few checks and balances throughout the process with You guys specifically?
Yeah, everything seems like a checks and balances thing. So you have Allen Edwin's standards, right? I think we have 8. The production manager and the team that they have their own, stuff. But I think they have 8 quality checks throughout construction. You got like your frame punch, you got your trim out. I mean, there's just different spots throughout construction. They're doing their own quality checks. Then you have the checks and balances with the township, the municipality. They got to come and approve different parts of our process, electrical, plumbing, all that stuff has to be approved by the municipality. And then on top of that, you have your energy efficiency checkpoints. So there's different checkpoints. We just had a training on this, and I can't remember the amount of checkpoints they have, but it's multiple checkpoints throughout construction to make sure we're not just saying your home is efficient, we're proving your home is it. It's like, here's your binder, here's how your home tested, here's your home energy rating score.
Yeah.
Like, it's dummy proof. Like, this is what it is. There's no... It's efficient.
There's a sticker on the window that says we think it's going to save you $20 a year.
Right.
We prove it, or that needs to be a proven thing. Is that something that only you are doing, or is that now a requirement within construction?
No, blower door test, I believe and I say believe because I want to leave a little room for error there. I believe they are required for most builders now. The thing that we do is we go, so there's like a threshold, and I can't say it's the word code because I think that might be wrong, but there's a threshold of efficiency you have to be at to build a new home. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to reach a certain amount of efficiency when it's new construction now.
Yeah.
We are above that threshold.
Wow.
So we're not just meeting the bare minimum, because you could just say, yes, we do that, but if everybody does it, then it's not unique.
Yeah.
But we're going above the threshold, which makes it unique and makes it more energy efficient. And we don't just say it, we prove it.
And the cool thing about this, and maybe it's not even a thought to the builder, but for me, it's like, what's the extra associated cost for being above that? Yeah. Probably minuscule in the big picture of life, or a big picture of building. Yeah. But be able to say that and then prove it, that builds that trust again.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people, a lot of the issue is just with trust with agents, trust with lenders, trusting the person that you're doing business with. Yeah. So if you're able to communicate, build that trust, set expectations, I think that's massive, and create the relationship. And that's probably something that, my perspective, that you're doing very well at, and maybe you exist in many places with Allen Edwin, but you creating that relationship fast with those agents and those buyers, that's that trust.
Yeah.
Like, that's executing on that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we've had the same experience with other builders. And that's not a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's just an opinion of how you do business. Yeah. People don't do that. Yeah. The other times that I've seen new construction, we never see anybody on site. So seeing somebody going above and beyond, building that trust, setting the expectation, I think that just is a point for how you do business and how you want to treat the individuals on the other side of the transaction.
Yeah.
Buyers specifically. I mean, obviously agents too, but
agents
buyers specifically.
No, Allen Edwin, I love working for the Allen Edwin for a lot of reasons, but they really make my job easy from all the different facets. Because one, they've been there, they've done that. So I can set good expectations. So I know when I say something, it's literally going to happen. Mm-hmm. Because if I set an expectation with the hope that it happens, I don't have the confidence to be able to say that. And then it doesn't translate, it doesn't seem authentic, and you just, you go down that path and people don't believe you. So there's all that part.
Yeah.
But whenever I say something, I know it's going to happen. So there's the been there, done that mentality, but then there's the realtor part. That is a huge sector of Allen Edwin. That's one reason I love working for them, because you guys are the ones with all the buyers. And it makes sense, but other builders don't have that synergy with realtors that I think that they should. And if I had to work against you guys, like against the grain with realtors, man, my job would be so freaking hard, dude.
And that's a little bit of and I don't have an immense experience on new construction. We've done a few custom, semi-customs, like for smaller volume builders.
Yeah.
And what I would probably call semi-custom, but they're doing 20 to 40 a year. So still smaller builder. But it's exactly what you just said. I feel like at times we're working against each other.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily always say it, but this is my mindset when it comes to every single deal. I protect buyers. Let's say you're a listing agent, you protect sellers.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, like, we are all here for the deal. Same goal. Sellers to be happy, buyers to be happy. Buyers to be protected, sellers to be protected. Me and you to get to the closing table, period.
Yeah.
As seamless and easy and as best as possible.
Yeah.
So it has to be a collaborative team effort. And I think that me and Pat are always thinking about how we can create those win-wins.
Yep.
And that's apparent with you. It felt like we were all on the same team with all communication.
Yeah.
With all problems. And it was never I'm worried about the resolution, because I was never worried about you not being an advocate for the builder, obviously, but also making sure that the buyers are taken care of, because they are customers at the end of the day for the builder, and it can be a great representation or a bad representation. And I think that you and the builder both realize that we want these customers to think of our name for years and years and years. And that's the difference of being in a builder for, from 1995 to 1998, and they could have been out of business in 2008.
Yep, easily.
But now that we're on the other side of that, a builder for years and years, and you could have told me 1975, I would have believed you. You could have said 1945, I would have believed you. And again, I think that's the name of the game of somebody that's going to be doing this for a long time or a short time. Customer service, quality, so on and so forth.
It all goes hand in hand.
Let's go back to energy efficiency, because I think that's such an overlooked thing with real estate. A 1971 house is not going to be the same efficiency as a 2023. I'll give you an example of my experience. 2 different products, but it's relative for the most part. We weren't even living in our house when we sold it, and our energy alone was $80. Not even living in the house.
How big was it?
1,500 square feet. And we weren't even living there. I want to drive the point home. And we moved into this 2-bed, 2-bath condo. So it's going to be, and it was new, and it was more energy efficient. Energy bill, $8. And that's just energy.
Just swore.
Gas, you're fine, I swore already. Gas, I think, was relatively very, very similar. Obviously, space has a contributing factor, but what's the number one loss of heat in a house? I'm assuming you might say attic insulation.
I wish I could answer this honestly.
Do you know?
No, I don't know what the number one is. It's probably a contributing factors. I know that when we do, what's the name of the company? I'm going to lose it right now. Energy Diagnostics. They do a lot of teaching for us, and man, they are they make it so easy to understand, but it's hard to regurgitate some of the stuff. But they talk about things like just like the outlets, stuff like that,
Not sealing those.
Not sealing those. Definitely the attic insulation is obviously one of them.
Can lights. Fixtures.
So many nooks and crannies. Like if you go through, I have pictures of it because I like to show buyers, but if you go through one of our homes before it's drywalled, you can see every nook and cranny is filled. Like there's no just like little gap without having a filling of some sort on it. And so it's really cool to see just how detailed they get to make sure that like the nooks and crannies are filled, because you get a little bit of air loss in a bunch of different areas and you got like a big problem.
And let's just even call it three spots. You're only as strong as your weakest point, period. So, and especially for anything up, heat rises. If we have some can lights in our living space and we have 7 or 8 of them and they're not sealed properly or insulated properly,
just leaking,
our heat's gone. But again, I think that's such an overlooked point of the process in any point of it, and I'm constantly trying to remind buyers that those are fixed costs. And then we got to talk about maybe certain things like unfixed costs, what we're paying for internet, trash, electricity, gas, things like that. But let's go back to the builder. And you just posted another short about this the other day. What was the short about? It was about saving $128 a month.
Well, I think so. I can get nerdy about this. So, with homes, this is something I say to a lot of people. Our home, this is going to sound corny. Our homes are built so airtight that they have to have some air brought in. Basically, the homes are built so airtight that we have to bring air in. So we have certain points where we're bringing air in to make sure that you have air circulation, because too much air being stagnant is not a healthy thing. So you have to make sure that you're bringing in fresh air and whatnot.
And people don't realize, I don't know if anyone can hear me right now, but people don't realize that new construction nowadays is so airtight. You're gonna starve you'll starve your appliances, your mechanicals.
You don't want that.
And it's been going on since the 90s. Cold air intake for furnaces or hot water heaters, because most likely you guys are installing high efficiency furnaces. So you're gonna have an intake and an exhaust line. But if you're doing a gas hot water heater, you put it into your utility closet, that thing's gonna die. And that's so crazy to think about, that nowadays we're trying to seal it up. And someone used it like an analogy, like a garbage bag. We're trying to build your house and then on the inside put it into a garbage bag and seal that thing up so there's zero air loss. Then at that point in time, we've done our job for an efficiency standpoint, but then we have to think about getting air back into the house.
There's a point of being too airtight. You can't be. You don't want it to be too airtight.
Yeah.
You need it to be breathing.
Yeah. Find that. And I love that you use that word, because a lot of people, I use that word constantly about like an attic space.
Yeah.
And specifically about like things like mold.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, mold's in this room right now. Mold is outside. Mold is in the attic space.
Very touchy word too.
Very touchy word, very scary word, but it's about that education. Educating those individuals and buyers about like, what mold is. There's 100 different species of mold. 2 can kill you. The amount of times that we see 2 is very few and far between, but it's about the amount of allergens that are in any particular room. Obviously higher, we need to mitigate those things. And it's not necessarily always about the mold, it's about the cause for the mold.
Yeah.
So why we have moisture.
Yeah.
But realizing that your house is breathing.
Yeah.
Living.
Yes.
And you're going to have those spaces specifically in the attic space. You guys don't seal off your attics? Is it blown in insulation on top of?
Yeah, it's blown insulation.
Okay, yeah. So they're breathing. The only reason I ask is we had a custom home builder recently seal that house
like
shut.
Spray foam?
Spray foam, everything.
Really?
Yeah. But it always goes back to, we still need to get air into the house.
Yeah.
You got to find that perfect, because people just think, if they're not educated about it, no. I want nothing coming through.
Well, it gets brought up a ton because when you go into our basements, you'll see a fresh air intake. You'll see something in the basement that connects directly to the outside, and you'll see basically light coming in. And they're like, oh, you got to seal that up. And then it's just an education point to talk through it. Hey, these homes are built so airtight that you have to bring some air in. And this is one of the points. Like, you want this to be here.
Yeah.
No, it would be bad for your house without it.
You need it.
Yes.
Yeah, you absolutely
you don't want
need
it. You need it.
Yeah. And then think of it that way too. Like, let's say it's not about starving our appliances, but 90%, don't quote me, it's like 70% of your air comes from your basement, or your crawl space. So that's why quality is absolutely necessary in those spaces when it comes to like mold, allergens, and things like that. But again, too, if you seal your house completely shut off, it's an 80% efficiency furnace. It's not bringing in fresh air from the outside. Think about that stale air that's just circulating through that home.
We're dirty people.
In and out.
We're dirty people. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but like, we bring in dirt, we breathe. I mean, we just are dirty people because we produce it. We just going in and out of houses. There's just dirt in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to breathe.
Is is there any point on that? I don't think there is, because again, there's certain things that we're doing for that. Obviously, high efficiency furnaces, air filtration, clean air in, clean air out, or dirty air out through the exhaust.
Yeah.
The efficiency standpoint, is there anything else that you think that we should touch on for an efficiency standpoint from a nerd out statistical standpoint, when maybe a buyer is looking at? So we've worked through a few things. First time home buyers, it's obtainable.
Yep.
Ask the right questions to the right person, work through that process, get the education and the facts about new construction and realizing that it isn't obtainable. Yep. Working through maybe what those semi-custom options are, and then some things to look at. Quality, having an expectation for quality, and then the efficiency standpoint. But if we got buyers out here right now looking at very, very similar price points from new construction to pre-existing construction, from an efficiency standpoint, is there anything that you can leave them with?
Yeah, this is what a professional segue that was. That was so perfect. So I definitely want to make like a nugget of information on the efficiency part, because I think, and this is not just for Allen Edwin, this is for new construction. I think every buyer looking at new construction needs to remove themselves for a second to think about this, because when you're buying a home, you have your fixed cost. I think you kind of alluded to it earlier, which is buying the home and having a mortgage. You know what that number is. The back end cost that you have to freaking pay, you cannot avoid, is utility bills. Mm-hmm. And you just mentioned it earlier, like you had a home that was just sitting dormant that was costing you more money than what you had wanted to spend or what you thought it should be spending.
Yeah.
So you have to think about your front end numbers and your back end numbers. And that's where we freaking rule. We have a front end number that you can know you're comfortable with and a back end number that's going to be as low as possible. So when you're looking at your cost, because sometimes people say, oh, well, the new construction's, an extra, $10,000 or $20,000. And a mortgage payment, that's going to be roughly $100 to $120 a month, right? If our utility bills are $100 less than the 1980 home you're looking at, dude, we just broke even and you could get a brand new home for the same price that you think that you're saving money on for the old one.
Yeah.
And guess what? You don't get that money back when you spend money in utility bills. That's sunk cost. Mm-hmm. If you put more money into your house and you're building equity, once you sell, hopefully, right? Ideally, you get that money back.
Yeah.
You don't ever get utility bills back if you spend more money in that category.
That's where my mind went to when you said, like, I don't know the number, but it was like $140 a month. And I was like, that's a cable and internet bill. Like that's a trash cost or whatever it looks like. I don't know if trash is included in that community that our people purchased in.
Yeah.
But like that's money back in your pocket.
Yeah.
That is tangible money that you're not just saving, but that you can put towards other things or straight to investments or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Overlooked. And do you have anything? I have something, but do you have anything when it comes to blown-in insulation that you that comes to mind about maybe leaving with somebody? And I'll try to lead you down this path.
Yeah, maybe you might need to.
Blown-in insulation is whether it's cellulose or fiberglass, correct? Or are you guys always doing cellulose?
I would have to double check on that.
No worries. It might be cellulose.
I know it's blown in.
Yeah, blown in cellulose insulation is the normal thing. It's like, paper more or less.
Yeah.
That compresses. So this will be something that new construction will have to talk about in the few years, but relating it to a 1960s and 70s house, you obviously get an inspection for what it was to what it is today.
I'm following.
And I don't know where we were going to go with that, but I think that's something that, again, people are overlooking. No, there's insulation up there.
Yeah.
But what it was is what it not is today.
Yeah.
And then the next cost that we were just alluding at is how do we get to where that current expectation is? Money.
Yeah.
Money. So for the money that we could be saving every single month, because I know that insulation, a 1,500 square foot house in the attic, depending on accessibility, if it's bad accessibility, price can be more. It's gonna be about $5,000 for a company to do that stuff. Or me and you can do it like easily.
Yeah.
But
be careful, I'm not too handy.
Yeah. Well, me neither. And I think I could do it. So I think me and you both could do it.
All right.
But there's associated costs with that versus that instant savings back in your pocket. And there is going to be a price difference on that.
Yeah.
But year over year, break-even costs, I think that's what people need to be focusing in on.
We call it we have a legit Excel spreadsheet that automatically generates these numbers, but we call it the total cost of homeownership. It's actually taking a step further versus just saying, here's my mortgage payment and looking at your total cost. You got your mortgage payment, your principal, interest, tax, insurance. You have your repair and replacement costs, which is things like, hey, the roof doesn't last forever. Hey, the furnace doesn't last forever. I mean, anything that you can think about in the house does not last forever. Same way that insulation doesn't just stay at its threshold forever.
Yeah.
And then you have utility bills. If you look at those three sectors, you can get an accurate representation of what your total cash flow is.
Yeah.
So if you want to compare two homes, you can look at how old the home is compared to the new home, and you can break in those three sectors, and you can say, hey, even though this home, new construction, is $30,000 more, my actual cash flow is less. And if we needed to on a separate video, we could easily break this down. I have a whole demonstration on it, but it's pretty cool to take the steps further and say, hey, this home's actually less expensive to own, and I'm getting a brand new one.
Yeah.
But people don't think that way, and it's no knock on them. It's like you have to be nerdy enough and you have to take it that step further to realize there's more than just the mortgage payment. There's the utilities. There's, hey, you were going to go into this house and you were going to replace the carpet, and that furnace is, 15 years old. It's only going to last forever.
Yep.
Like, we excel in the utility bills and having low repair and replacement costs because we're brand new.
And you answered it perfect with a horrible layup and a bad example. I should have asked a better question, but you answered it perfectly. And I used a stupid example talking about cellulose blown insulation. It is something that you need to be mindful of, but furnaces, hot water heaters,
yes.
ACs. Right now, I've bought a few furnace AC combos. I bought Goodman, so good, better, best. It's definitely a good product, or a base level product for the most part.
I was just with someone yesterday who says he only uses Goodman, so apparently that's a really good one.
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah.
I'm happy about it.
And he works for an AC company or whatever.
My HVAC guy goes like, dude, Lennox or nothing. And I'm like, time out. Don't cut the Lennox budget on rental properties.
Yeah.
So I know the associated costs for the most part, but when we do step up to the Carriers or the Lennox, it's going to be a different price point.
Yeah.
And I think that it's very reasonable to budget for a furnace AC combo somewhere between $10,000 to $15,000, depending on what you buy in the space you need to buy it for. But people see, no, $300,000. I want the $260,000. Your $260,000 gets to $300,000 pretty damn fast with paint, carpet, mechanicals, and a roof.
Yeah.
And I would actually say more than $300,000.
Yeah.
It's an overlooked thing. And it's about that educational piece. So when I'm walking around the house with first-time homebuyers specifically, for the first few homes, I'm just talking about things that I'm thinking about. Windows are newer, windows are older. Roof is newer, roof is older. HVAC, AC, newer, older. cosmetics are cosmetics for the most part, and I'm not necessarily too worried about those things. They're using their imagination on that, but I'm thinking about capital expenditures, the elephants, not the ants, and things that are going to set us back in the first 2 to 5 years.
Yeah,
it's way overlooked.
Usually our threshold, because again, I have this breakdown and we go through it with families when we're walking through potential options, but I think the threshold for us, normally when you have $40,000 price, and this is going to vary depending on the home you're comparing to, because if we're comparing a home built in like 2010 versus 1970, that's going to be very different numbers. But normally the biggest threshold that we can compete against is around $40,000. So if we have an older home, again, it has to be somewhat older. It can't just be a brand new home that's a couple years old. But
2019 to 2023.
Right, exactly. That's just not going to work. But when you're comparing some of the older homes compared to our new homes, usually the threshold is $40K and below, and we're either winning or we're very close to winning.
Yeah. And I think that our community specifically, we're dealing with 60s to 90s for the most part. You know, downtown communities, maybe you're definitely substantially older, but 60s to 90s, early 2000s, and then it's 2015.
Yeah.
So, is that enough of a threshold? The efficiency standards from 2005 to 2023 completely changed?
Well, I don't know how much the code is changing. Again, the threshold, that's probably a better word to use. But the things in the home, if you're looking around 2000, dude, we're in 2023. Like 20 years is usually the benchmark that most people use. Like, hey, this is probably getting up to its like
life expectancy.
It just does not last forever. So then you say, okay, well, if it's $5,000 to replace that furnace, are you paying out of pocket for that? Are you getting a loan for that? Like all that stuff costs money. Yeah. And so we can easily compete with the 2000s for sure.
And then again, now that we're talking about it, back in the 2000s, they were still using predominantly 80%ers. For a lot of these productions or semi-customs, and not very often am I seeing a 20-year-old high-efficiency furnace. And if I do, awesome, looking great. Yeah. The thing is about high efficiencies, when you're replacing a high efficiency, it is going to be more expensive versus if you can still get an 80%er if somebody's willing to put in an 80%er. But the point being is, not even just the energy, like how a home is insulated. That's a massive proponent of your efficiency and your cost savings. But the actual mechanicals are efficient too. Yep. How much gas they use, the efficiency of the blower motors, the dual blower motors. Those are and it's prevalent in the size. Yeah. Back 20 years ago, there were these massive things. 80%ers are high efficiencies, and nowadays they're small little boxes. Yeah. And that's another thing that's overlooked thing is not just the efficiency of the home, but of the actual device itself.
I think earlier we can relate it back to like the organism the home is breathing. Like this home works in unison with itself. So if you have one part that works good, great, but you're only as strong as your weakest link. If you have a crap furnace, I almost swore again. Yeah. If you have a crap furnace, then that's not going to help out. It's got to be everything in conjunction with itself.
Yeah. And maybe to that point as well, and this is not necessarily a new construction part, but I'm tending to be a little bit more proactive. Don't get me wrong, that bill is not fun to pay. Yeah. But when we're dealing with older things, sometimes it's your break-even cost. And that's exactly what your chart's going to look at. Mm-hmm. Or where you're winning compared to older homes. Those break-even costs. Yeah. And they're hidden. They're like mysterious.
People can't see them.
You can't see them. People aren't taking those consideration. They see the bill, they go, oh,
they scare you in the middle of the night. You don't know when they're going to pop up.
Yeah, but being proactive on some of those things for break-even costs might make more sense, or might lead you down the path of, wow, new construction might be the best fit for me. And I'm having a conversation right now with a young couple. Same thing. It's about affordability. Yeah. The toughest part that I'm having right now is location. Yeah. All signs lead to Allen Edwin might be the best option for them. Yeah. But your two developments in Livingston County, for them, it's a location thing.
I wish we had more locations.
But it goes back to temporary. Yeah. And urgency, how bad we want to be into a house. When do we need to be in a house? And I think that patience is definitely on their side. Yeah. But for them, that's where it just makes sense for a lot more people than people expect it to be. Yeah. Speaking of, you just made me think of it. What are the plans? You guys how many developments are currently in Michigan? Southeast Michigan. You got a lot, but Southeast Michigan, you said Genesee, Livingston County.
Yeah. So like our side of the town, so to speak, we'll say Lansing and over. That's kind of the stuff I do mostly. So Man, that is a great question. I'd have to, let's see.
And I'm asking it so people can realize
This
of
is a rough figure.
Are we in your backyard? Because I didn't realize that you guys were in Genesee County.
Oh, dude,
until
very
we talked about
prominent.
my bad, Lenawee County.
Oh, yeah.
Until we talked about the other day,
Oh, yeah,
south
yeah.
side of Adrian.
Yeah, we have 5 communities in Adrian right now, 2 in Tecumseh. So I would say, and I don't want anyone to fact check me because it's definitely not going to be
No one
exact,
will.
but yeah. But I would say probably around 30 plus communities and growing. I mean, we have a separate land team that goes and tries to buy land.
Wow.
That's our biggest thing, is trying to develop land for the future, because you have to plan for not only this year and next year, but like the 5 years coming too. Land isn't just developed. You have to like really plan ahead of that, ahead for that stuff. So yeah, I would say around 30 plus, maybe even close to the 40 range.
How many are you servicing? All of them?
All of them.
Okay.
In the sense, let me put an asterisk next to this because I don't want my colleagues to be like, what the heck, Ray?
Yeah.
So Allen Edwin, this is what's another great part about working for this builder. Sometimes with builders, you have set communities. You work and operate out of XYZ community and XYZ community.
Yep.
And that's it. So like realtors are coming to you for that community, then they're going to a different agent for a different community.
Gotcha.
We cross-sell. So like any area that I operate out of or that Allen Edwin operates out of, I can operate out of. So if you enjoy working with me, we're doing everything together. Genesee County, I just did one in Grand Rapids with somebody. Like all our locations, we have the same floor plans, we have all the same expectations, just the location's different, and we have all this information readily available. So I operate everywhere, but mostly in the Lansing, Howell, Genesee, Lenawee, Jackson counties.
Relationship trust. I mean, that's why
Yeah.
you're probably going to Grand Rapids to help somebody out
It
or service them a little bit better. Because again,
Yeah.
it's all about that customer experience. And if you're the one that has that relationship, can actually get that accomplished.
Yeah.
Done and done.
Yeah.
Back to the developments. A huge overlooked part of real estate in general. Because again, people just overnight see vacant land, see a development, and maybe the infrastructure there, whether it be the sewer systems, the road in, the road out.
Yeah.
That's a long process.
It is.
It's about a 2-year process, maybe a year process for approval for infrastructure. Am I wrong? Is it longer? Is it shorter?
Well, it's definitely never easy, and it's not just short. Like it's not definitely overnight. I mean,
Especially for these big developments.
yeah, and it depends on what we're buying, right? Because you still do have, especially in places like Adrian and Jackson, we have some places that we've bought that were already developed, and we'll buy the land that was just sitting there and it's dormant, and then we'll go to a place like Potterville where we'll go and just re-engineer and develop the land that's not developed yet.
Yeah.
So you have these 2 different buckets, and it depends on what opportunities are available. Obviously, development takes longer.
And in Fowlerville, you're finishing out a subdivision.
Yep.
So you're able to purchase those vacant lots and finish those things out
Yep.
versus first shovel in the ground.
Yep.
Land site approval, municipality approval, so on and so forth. And again, like the bigger developments are going to be a little bit more of a process.
Yeah.
Calculated, experience, vote, democratic or diplomatic or whatever. There's a process to it.
There is.
But you're dipping your hat into both of those hats.
Yeah.
Finishing developments that are already pre-existing that have a great track record, then also starting new developments.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
We'll do both.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And again, it's a little bit different than just buying a 5 acres or 2.5 acres and just going through the zoning process.
Yeah.
Because it's most likely already zoned
Yep.
for a custom on that 2 or that 5, but going through an actual development of a community. Little more things to consider.
Yeah. And to give it a little shameless plug here, I mean, if anyone, realtors are watching this, reach out to us if you have like land you want to sell. We'll look at anything.
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah.
What's the buy box on that? I mean, really anything?
I mean, we want it to fit our criteria. And again, there's a separate division for this, so I don't want to butcher the criteria. But yeah, anything that you have, we'll look at. And if it's within price point and, location-wise, we can't be like just, an hour away from everything we have going on.
Yeah.
We will definitely look at it. And, we're in the buying phase right now.
Yeah. And do you have anything? So when you drive in our community down M59, land clearing.
I know, it's crazy, right?
Infrastructure. Are
Yeah.
you guys on any of those?
No, I was curious. A couple months ago, I was like, what the heck is this?
I wait for
It's
those
not
signs
us.
to go up.
Yeah,
Like
dude, me too.
Yeah, Bob the Builder,
Yeah.
or whoever it is. But when you drive down M59, and I am genuinely so excited, and you're in Howell.
Yep.
I'm genuinely so excited to see where M59 is developed to for, commercial.
Yeah.
Residential.
I think one of them has to be commercial. It just feels like one of those are commercial on them 59.
They got to. Yeah, they
Has
got to.
be.
For okay, let's say they build, 80% of that is residential. Well, there's not much down in 59. So
Yeah.
I think for the people that want to be that way, maybe we're doing another gas station, Starbucks, a few little corner restaurants, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But again, M59 and towns down M59 are very M59 towns.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. That's just kind of a what M59 is, and that's from Howell to Pontiac.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to kind of see a little bit more of what they're planning. And there's the plans. We can go talk to Howell or Osceola Township about those.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're already documented of what's going on there.
I want someone to just tell me.
Yeah, hell yeah. and actually, thanks for the idea, because, and that's something that we're kind of like gravitating towards, is more or less being like the voice of Livingston County when it comes to information.
Yeah.
Whether it be new construction, road construction, events, activities, downtown activities, things like that.
Yeah.
So I'll have to do my research and look at all these land
That's
developments.
an easy couple videos right there, dude.
Hell yeah, shoot.
I mean, your other video was cool the other day about things you can do in Livingston County. Like, if you're not from around here and you're moving here, which a lot of people are, again, we got low taxes and we can, talk about Livingston County, but if they don't know, then they have no idea about some of those areas, and those are great areas.
Yeah, and that's why I think that a lot of the value, at least for people online that are not familiar with Livingston County, is, what does Livingston County have to offer? It's a good thing, it's a bad thing that Livingston County stays very, very close niche, but there's a lot of reasons why people are moving out this way. Bang for your buck, you hit the nail on the head. Bang for your buck, taxes, and then also just amenities, culture, community, so on and so forth. But shoot, we could talk about that for days. Plug, well, and I think that this is necessary right now. Plug, now, I think every agent should have a conversation with you.
I would love that.
Are there resources that agents can reach out to for some more information? And again, it goes back to education. I don't think that it's a bad thing, but I think some agents are not necessarily educating their clients about this being an attainable option. So what should an agent do that's looking at this? Can they call you? A phone call? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very readily available. I mean, I'm not scary by any means, so I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone. But I think the reason that agents aren't educating their buyers on it is just because they don't know. And then you don't want to try to talk about something you don't know anything about. I mean, you would, for a lack of better words, almost sound, like an idiot. Like, oh, well, it means this. I mean, you want to sound confident when you talk to your buyer. So if you don't know anything about it, you won't bring it up.
Yeah.
I would love for any agent who doesn't know anything, that wants to learn something. I will do a lunch. I will meet with you at your office. I mean, I love educating people about this stuff. I've been doing it for 6.5 years and I still love it. So I would be happy to talk to anyone about it.
And if at anything, you're educated now more about the new construction process from not just you, but maybe in general.
Yeah.
Because again, I think that it's the name of the game when it comes to sellers, buyers, new construction, the relationship that we have, and how you educate buyers that we're bringing to the table. Education, education, education. We want them to know every single thing that they're saying yes or no to. And then also to buyers that are not doing new construction, I want them to be confident, comfortable at the closing table. They realize what just happened.
Yeah.
Versus too many times we'll get phone calls down the road and say, we bought a house and whoa, like we made a mistake.
Yeah.
But we weren't told about these things.
Yeah. You just don't know.
That's what we want to avoid.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, call, sit down, get educated. It's something that is obtainable. It is something that you need more information on. And at the end of the day, you're going to be a better resource for your buyers and sellers.
Well,
period.
I think, just last point with the realtor section is, as a builder, we do a lot of spec showcase quick occupancy homes. Most of them are not listed online. So if you're not in touch with your local realtors or your local builders, then you're not doing yourself and your buyers the amount of service that you can be.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Like, I don't want to make it sound like it's me digging at realtors, because I'm not, but it's factual that if you don't have connections with the builders, then you're not seeing everything out there. And that means you have less tools on your tool belt, and that means you could be providing more value. I mean, if you could instantly provide 10% more value to your buyers, wouldn't you want to do that? And all you have to do is call me? Like,
yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Super easy.
And I asked you the other day, but I'm probably not even getting 20% of the opportunity. The answer is yes. And the answer should be yes. And if your answer is not yes, then that goes back to 3 questions to ask your next real estate agent.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We touched on a lot of things. And again, I think that we could talk. Circling it back to first-time home buyers and bringing it home.
Yeah.
All builders are not created equal.
No.
Maybe not necessarily the fine print, but getting educated on efficiency matters.
Yep.
Components of the home matters. Efficiency ratings matter. Seeing that data matters.
Yep.
Is there anything else that you don't think that we've touched on that first-time home buyers specifically, or somebody new to new construction, whether they be first-time home buyers or not, can take away from this conversation or should hear?
Yeah, I'll go through my own little mental checklist. Yeah, like if you're not reaching out to the builder, then you're not seeing all the options. We all shop online. But if you're not reaching out to a builder that does showcase and spec homes, then you're not seeing everything. So that's good for anyone. Move up, first-time home buyer, anyone looking for a house, you want to see all your options, right? The financial barrier part is huge because some builders, even if they do an end loan product, will have higher deposits. The minimum you need to start, and I'm going to use the word pretend I'm putting a bold italics underline under the word start the process, is $1,000. Because normally our deposits are a total of $5,000 or $8,000, but you can start with one and work your way towards that. So very low financial barrier. Because again, if you're doing a VA or an RD, you're doing a 0% down. Like you want to leverage the amount of power you have to not have to put as much money down. We can aid that. We can be along the ride with you saying, hey, we don't need a bunch of money. You just need to worry about your closing costs. And most of your overall deposit would cover that. So again, just tailoring towards that first-time home buyer and low financial barrier.
And you're trying to work with them. And you also have a lot of great partnerships with lenders that understand your process, understand your product. So it becomes now just a seamless from point A to point Z, not just with lending, but also building and getting those buyers into the door so they're happy with builders, real estate agents, and lenders.
Maybe another good point to bring up would be, and we touched a lot on communication, but the structure of communication that Allen Edwin has is very organized and it's very regimented. So basically, if you're a first-time home buyer and you're nervous about new construction, what it entails, how to do it, I don't know how to do it, anything, with Allen Edwin, from point A to point Z, weekly communication. Whether you're doing a showcase home and everything's picked out and you're just waiting for your home to be done, or you're building from the ground up, you're going to the design studio, we control the process in the sense of you're getting emails or calls every single week on what's going on right now, what's to expect, and I'm basically holding your hand. I mean, it sounds weird, but
in a great way.
In a good way. And, we have good relationships with everyone I work with, but...
We had a podcast a little bit ago with a guy by the name of Matt Farnham, great guy, out of Vegas, and he uses the word uncertainty creates anxiety. Uncertainty equals anxiety. And when you're not providing that information, that's where it starts to stem from. Uncertainty creates anxiety. Oh no, what's going on? Oh, what's going on? What do we? Why haven't I heard anything back from Ray or so and so?
It's 10 times harder to pull back that anxiety or any type of uncertainty versus in the front and be like, hey, this is what you should expect going forward. If they have those emotions, then you have to try to reel it in when it was no problem to begin with. But it's so hard to reel that back in because those emotions already happen.
And that should be an expectation that you guys have if you're not working with Ray and the builder. Then that should be an expectation that is established throughout the process, depending on where you are, whether it's not even broken ground yet or just the finishing touches. That should be a good expectation to have. So nothing falls through the cracks and your expectations are met and quality is being met as well. Shoot, where was I was just gonna go somewhere else. Was there anything else?
No, I'm trying to think. I mean, those are probably, the good points. We talked a lot about the total cost of home ownership because, again, you should really be looking at not just your mortgage payment, but your back end numbers that you have to pay.
Have you ever done a screen record of walking through that?
I need to. I did one a while back. It's outdated. I need to do it again.
If we don't jump on, a live one, because I think that's massive value.
Dude, great content. Great content.
And even if you just do like a loom, or a screen record loom, and just kind of walk through and regurgitate what you're talking about. We can do a Riverside. I keep pointing at my computers. We can do a Riverside screen share, but I also think that's an amazing piece of content that I want people to have. And I don't know if you're able to share those things, but I want other people to see those things.
I think we should both broadcast it because it's so powerful. And I'm going to do one regardless, but I would love to do one with you too, or just be with you so we can, navigate the waters together and put that content out there together. I think it's huge. Because no one else talks about it.
No one talks about it.
Nobody.
It's and I think that a lot of the times when we get phone calls, maybe other people don't, is we're having the conversations or bringing up certain things that other people aren't talking about. You got to do what other people aren't doing to go where they aren't going, or whatever that damn saying is. Let's do that. We have to do it. We'll get something in the books.
It's the best part about it is, and this last thing, I'll just keep talking about it. It's factual. It's not just opinion. It's not like, hey, new homes are better because I like new homes. It's like, here's the data, here are the numbers. If you're looking at a home, brand new home at this age and price versus a home that you like at this age and price. Here's how they compare. It's just factual.
Yeah.
There's no emotion other than here are the numbers. Here's how it could look for you. Let's compare a home that you're looking at. It's just factual.
And at the end of the day, facts. I was going to say opinions, but no, facts are only, and education are only going to prepare you, the consumers, on making their next purchase, whether it be new construction or not. Yeah. Actually now taking those things into consideration. And that's something that I'm always trying to do, is just to try to say, again, unassociated, unfixed question mark costs about what it's going to be to actually be a homeowner. Because at the end of the day, welcome to being a homeowner. Yeah. There's going to be things you have to take on and tackle throughout the lifespan of this house, or you owning this home.
Yeah, you don't want to learn the hard way.
No, heck no. Thanks, man.
Yeah, dude.
We'll get that on the books. Last thing, we might be dead. You got to run here in a second. I got to run here in a second. How's the house?
The one we just bought?
And no, rental. Any opportunities?
So, dude, so nervous, and that's just because I'm in my first time. Nothing bad's happened. Yeah. I just listed it.
Today or yesterday? You listed it
Sunday?
And then I applied?
Yeah, was it Sunday? I think it was Sunday. Just put it on Facebook literally this morning.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't got any calls yet. I'm like, I need to drop the price. It's just funny how when you don't go through something and you don't know, it's easy. We just talked about it the whole time in that podcast. The uncertainty is so easy to just fall into. It's like a trap.
Yeah.
So I'm just staying resilient. I'm staying positive, and I just posted it. So.
And you're sticking with facts, though. Your price based on facts. Your price is based on quality. Your price is based on location.
Yeah.
And I did that the first time we had a newer duplex in Adrian. I was like, what should we do?
Yeah.
Should we drop it X? Should we drop it Y? And it's like, well, sometimes those things are a little bit different of days on market. So short-term memory is a good and a bad thing. My mind is, if it's not off in 3 days, there's something wrong with it. So if I'm not rented in 3 days, there's something wrong with it. But sometimes in a rental market, it does take a little bit of time, especially at certain price points.
Yeah.
If we're at a $600 price point, it's going to be a little bit different conversation, different demographic.
Yeah.
So you're at a different price point. The good news is I think that you have a great starting point, and then we can always make some adjustments.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to make adjustments and sacrifice on. I was going to tell you this the other day. You can make a sacrifice on price, but you can also give responsibilities to those tenants, lawn care, snow removal, things like that. I think those are included currently.
Right now, I have it all included.
And which I think is phenomenal. Turnkey. Yeah. You did the exact right thing. But what we did, we were struggling to rent something in Adrian for, I don't know, $11.50, $11.95,
sure.
or $10.95.
Yeah,
we dropped it to, which we're making more money now.
Yeah,
not having to deal with it, we dropped it $100, but we gave them lawn care. Yeah, which in the big picture, we're making more money.
Better now.
Yeah. So if you ever have to drop it, and I'm just throwing an arbitrary number.
That's a good angle, honestly.
$25.95, but in the big picture, you're saving money.
Yeah,
and it makes them think that they're saving money as well. It's purely psychological.
It is.
First steps first. Got it listed.
I know, dude.
And then now just waiting for the opportunities. I think you'll get some calls. Obviously, price points. The bigger question mark right there is who's in the market that can afford that.
Yeah,
time will tell.
Yeah,
you the man.
No, I appreciate it, dude. This is sweet, dude.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to use those like, comment, and share buttons below. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel @Lotz Real Estate for more helpful home buying and selling tips. Want a free comparable market analysis? Scan that QR code on your screen or visit our website at www.patlotz.com and fill out the request form. There's lots to love in Livingston County.